Hello and welcome to the Limitless Coach Success Podcast. I'm your host, Sabine Matharu, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. As a dedicated coach, course creator, and consultant myself, I've had the pleasure of servicing incredible women over a decade through my flagship program, Limitless Coach Success Formula. Now, with the Limitless Coach Success Podcast, I'm excited to support the broader audience. Here we will explore strategies for unlocking your full potential, navigating the challenges of entrepreneurship, and achieving the success you envision. Now, this podcast is a dialogue, and I always have amazing guests with me. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Melanie Falvey in a second, and we're going to talk about visibility. So this is a place where we can learn from each other, share insights, celebrate victories, big or small, it doesn't matter. Be also sure to check out my podcast host page, where I have added a range of incredible resources designed to equip you with the tools you need to thrive in your entrepreneurial journey. Now, with that said, I would love to bring Dr. Melanie Falvey on the stage. We're going to talk about how to grow your business by speaking at the right places. I'm super excited because we've known each other for a long time, and she is not only named most outstanding international TV presenter of 2022, but she is also the founder of Expert Channel TV Media, a pioneering platform that connects, inspires, and impacts viewers and speakers worldwide. She empowers experts, entrepreneurs, executives, and personal brands to amplify their influence through strategic visibility and brand authority. So who better to have here to talk about brand authority, visibility, and getting more out there, getting more sales through speaking. So welcome, Melanie.
Oh, thank you, Sabine. I'm so delighted to be here with you and your audience. Thank you for inviting me.
So first and foremost, talk a little bit about what you do and how you got into it. And then obviously we have a few questions as to how people actually can really get visible. And actually, I think it's also fair to say that it sounds very scary, like, TV influencing and all these kinds of big stages. And I think we want to demystify some of that today as well, right?
Absolutely. And the first thing I would say is that if I've been able to do it, anyone can. So it does sound big, scary, but it's not really when you know what you're doing. So what I do is my mission is really to help people shine. And that could be through sharing their messages, through showing up confidently. And the reason why that became my mission was that I was on the other side. I was the scary girl at school. I was the shy person. I'm still terribly shy, but I was always hiding behind brand names, hiding behind the scenes. I never wanted to be center stage. But the thing is, and I think for many of us, and I'm sure, Sabine, you work with leaders, so you know that sometimes we get this nudge, and we know we're meant to be sharing our message because it's going to change lives. And then it stops being about us and us feeling inadequate or scared or not ready. And it just becomes that mission where we bring our toolkit, our knowledge, our expertise, whatever you want to call it, our gift, and we just bring it out into the world to make somebody's life, day, business better. I think we owe it to people. If we know how to do something, if we have a solution, if we have an answer, if we have something that's going to bring a smile to somebody's face, then we just owe it to them to bring it out and stop thinking about us, because visibility is not about us. It's about how we can change even just one person's life or day and make it better. So when you start thinking about that, your mind shifts. It just becomes so much more doable. I mean, to me, it was just this hugely overwhelming thought of having to click that go live button and having to share me. And it's not about that. Your videos are not about you. Your shows are not about you. It's about that person listening and, being able to touch their hearts and just move them into action, whatever that might be, depending on what you're sharing. So yeah, that's how I came to be this, if you like, a TV personality, but it's not really anything. It sounds very grand, but I'm just a vehicle. And my mission is to help others shine through their messages.
I love that. And I think it takes a lot of courage to actually do that and to go for it. And I think you talked about a really good point here. It's like, we may be introverted and it's not easy. And I think we really need to think about the audience rather than ourselves. And it's funny because when you really analyze what's going on within you, it's people are actually reflecting how they can utilize this information and how it's going to impact them, rather than looking at your flaws and thinking, oh, how she's speaking, how does she look, and all that. It's not really the reality, is it? When you are authentic, you kind of come with the right energy and you drop into your heart and you just want to share because of your passion and what you know, then I don't think you can make mistakes as such.
Absolutely, I agree. And that's why I call my type of visibility, my framework is called magnetic speaker or magnetic visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all based around the idea of being intentional and authentic. It's exactly what you're saying, Sabine. When we show up with truth, when we're able to tap into that true voice, which is not easy to find. I think that when we start this online business and start doing videos or getting on podcasts, at the beginning, it's not really ourselves. We are pretending or we are trying, and you can always tell, and that's fine, that's part of the process. But when you really become confident and magnetic, something switches inside, and it's that you being able to tap into that true voice, and your true voice really sounds different, not just in a literal sense, but it sounds different because it's connecting and reaching people in a different way. Your true voice is truly who you are, what you came here to do, and that little, ray of light that connects you to the right people. And the right people will find you when you decide and commit to being visible. They really will. They will feel it. And I'm sure you've also experienced that, built many audiences. So it becomes this, even like, I don't know if magical is the term, but it becomes a lot easier because it does feel a bit like magic. You're on a mission. You might not know all the steps ahead, but you can really tell when you're speaking your truth and showing up in an authentic and magnetic way.
Yeah, I totally agree. So say if someone's, let's say, a bit stuck, what would be the first sort of steps?
Okay, so I'm going to share what really helps me. And again, because I was the worst case, if this worked for me, it's going to work for anyone. Now, my journey to visibility was a really long and painful one because I had to test everything. I was trying things out. I did one video and it took me a whole year to build the courage up to do a second video. I mean, I was a really, really terrible case of insecurity and lack of confidence and shyness and introversion. I was like, I always say that I became my best testimonial, not because I haven't helped hundreds upon hundreds of people become confident, but because I have never yet met anyone who was such a mess as I was. So the first step is obviously to commit. I think that's, with everything in life, if we don't commit, and we need to commit to ourselves, if we don't commit, there's nothing we're going to achieve, because that's what's going to really help us take that first step. So the first step, commit to yourself. And no matter how hard you think it might be, and I have good news because it's not hard at all once you know what to do, but commit to that, not because of you, but because you have a skill set or a gift or expertise or knowledge that is going to change somebody's day or life or business, depending on what you're doing. So that would be the first one. Second one, And this was my biggest mind shift. The problem is I didn't find it, or I didn't figure it out right at the beginning. It took me a while, but this just is immediate. You know, when you realize it's not about you, it's about what you can bring to others. And people are not going to be thinking, oh, she's on video, let's look at everything she's doing, saying. No, it's more a vibe. They will feel you and they will resonate or not. If they don't, great, it's a filter, they'll just move on. If they resonate with you, then it's your opportunity to change their life. And number 3, and I think also if you're shy, if you're an introvert, which tends to be the type of person who has it harder, or they think they have it harder at the beginning. Actually, I've met many extroverted people who are also scared of visibility, but in a slightly different way. But if you're shy, an introvert, just know that you can be the best of the best online. And, you know, if you're going to be doing interviews or speaking or doing podcasts, you're going to be great because you know how to listen and you don't have to learn that skill usually. And just know that as long as you know how often you can show up without draining, as long as you know where to show up and how to do it and how to manage your energy, then you'll be fine. You can be a huge introvert and still do videos all the time, or, you know, guest podcast all the time. It's really about knowing yourself and knowing how to manage your strengths, how to play around your weaknesses, because we all have, I know I have loads of those, and also just how to manage your energy. And when you have all those tools and you know exactly how you operate and what works for you, then it becomes doable. Because I think oftentimes people think they have to become this huge personality, this Gary V, live streaming 24/7. And let's face it, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he has a huge team. He can do it because he has a camera following him around all the time. We don't, you know, as solopreneurs, or when you have a small team, you don't have to do that. And, you know, you probably don't want to do that. So it's all about just knowing that every time you show up, it's intentional. You're going to find the right people, or the right people are going to find you. And you can do it because it's not about you. You are just a vehicle. And, you know, again, you owe it to the audience to share whatever you can to make their day better.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the high-level overview about the 3 key elements. Now, I would like to dip a little bit deeper as into what would you talk about? How do you get to content? Because people obviously talk about you need to create a keynote speech or something like that. I mean, how do you go about that? What would you advise?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Sabine, because I see so many people just speaking about one thing that tends to be their expertise. And obviously you need to speak about your topics and your expertise because, you know, that's what you help people with. The problem with that is that there's going to be other people maybe not doing it in the same way as you, of course, but they're going to be more or less speaking about the same topics. So how do you stand out and become memorable if you're speaking about similar topics as, you know, let's just say health coach? There's many health coaches out there, and though each one of them probably brings their flair to or has different frameworks, somebody watching doesn't necessarily know that at the beginning. They just see health coach. So the way you really connect with people is when you speak about, and the way we do it is I teach 7 different frameworks, speaking frameworks within the magnetic speaker, because your expertise is just one of them. And believe it or not, it's not even your most important one, if you like. So depending on where you're speaking, on the timing you have, on the audience you're going to be delivering in front of, there are different frameworks you can use. And they obviously use specific structures that are made to convert. So it's not the same, excuse me, if you're speaking in front of an audience and you really want to sell to that audience, you need to be using specific triggers and a specific structure to take people through a journey so they're ready to buy at the end. Whether you want to inspire people, and that is a completely different type of speech.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really comes down to getting very clear on what you want to achieve as a speaker or as an expert who speaks. And then from there, you can craft all these different frameworks. So your signature talk is going to be one. Then your conversion talk is going to be another one. You need to know how to create short content, longer content, a keynote, a class, a webinar. It's all different. But obviously, it stems from the core of who you are, what your brand speaks on, and what you want to achieve around your expertise. But it is difficult to, I know that oftentimes we see like, oh, the magic structure or the script, the video script you need to use. It's not really that simple. I mean, yes, of course, there are, techniques, storytelling techniques that we can all use, but every single talk needs to really do what it has to do. And once you know the structure, is just so easy to flip from one to the other. It's like you're always ready to speak because you know exactly what to do. And another thing, I don't want to overwhelm people thinking, oh my goodness, I need 7 different speeches. No, it's really like a variation of 2 speeches that you need to use. And also you can start with 2. You don't need to start with 7. That is more if you really want to, start speaking professionally and maybe even get paid for it, then you need to build your portfolio. But when you're starting out, have your signature talk, which is usually around your expertise, and then have a conversion talk, which is going to help you, make that conversion and really get people to buy your offers if that's why you're speaking.
Yeah, brilliant. Because what came to mind was obviously speaking is not just about standing up on stage in front of thousands of people. You could be just speaking on a podcast like we're speaking right now. You could be speaking on a webinar. It could be live or you could automate it. That's what I always talk about, or about these webinars and launching and things like that. And even a Facebook Live could be speaking, right? Or going to a networking event where you have a 2-minute introduction pitch is a short talk. So I think there's different levels of speaking, obviously.
Exactly. And that's why you need all these little snippets. And, it's your talk, but you just turn it into different things depending on the situation. Yeah. And now that you mentioned the 2-minute introduction, that's probably the hardest one to do because it's the shortest and you need to encompass everything you do into 2 minutes, and people tend to panic because they want to put too much into that. But yeah, that's just one of them. And even a message, when you leave a voice note, maybe to a potential client, to somebody you interact with on social media, that is also speaking. Every time you speak, a sales call is speaking. We're speaking all day long. So when we become intentional about it, we can really make an impact and really achieve our goals.
And I think now we've gone much deeper because that's what you cover. That's your expertise. You help people with confidence, speaking confidence, which you already mentioned. And I know you have a amazing free gift for everyone, and I will make sure it's underneath the video on the podcast so people can download this confidence activation meditation. So thank you for providing that. Then you have the frameworks, obviously helping them write their speeches and pitches and whatever networking elevator pitches and things like that. And then thirdly, you have a third string here, which is you actually have a platform where you help speakers become visible, and that's as far as I'm concerned, and I know, is on video, but also on written and also on audio, because he's also a podcast. So talk a little bit about the different platforms.
Yeah, that is probably it started as almost a passion project and as a way of providing a real scenario for my clients who were becoming confident on video. And I wanted to give them like the next logical step. So I created a TV channel and we started really small on social media, and we started with events and interviews and panel discussions, and I was helping people produce and broadcasting to TV. We also produce podcasts or actually even help people repurpose the shows for types of content. And then it kept growing, and now we also have a publishing department where we bring stories to life in the written word. So we have a digital magazine where members of Expert Channel TV can contribute their, articles or blog posts or book extracts. And then we also bring together experts and people who are really going to make an impact through their message, like keynote speakers, our summits, and thought leaders from all around the world, different backgrounds and industries. And we showcase their expertise, not just video, TV, and podcast format, but also in book formats, so that everybody, depending on how they like to be inspired, how they like to consume educational training, they can find it. So we tend to, we want to cover all the different ways that we can reach people and really change lives. So the reason behind the platform is really to help people shine by showing up in the right way, depending on their personal goals, and then make sure that the next week messages. So it's being a connection to join us. It's great that type of content because so much, servers out there. There's so much noise, so much people, social comments, and you've heard everyone, people, hear you and be inspired by you, take action, or depending on your message, whatever you want them to do.
Wow, that's lovely, and that's just a really good sort of roundup to sum up what you're all about. So all the three pillars, basically. Thank you so much, Melanie, for inspiring others and for doing what you're doing, bringing people together, and having created this platform, because it is really important to get out there, being heard, and people might just be hiding instead of going for it. And so I'd like to thank you for giving me the time today